We'll open up for Q&A. We don't have much time left, so keep your questions short and the answers short
Even
as well.
shorter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so some people say that the rebel leader Jelani has just gone from, or Syria has just gone from being Russian to now American and Israel, and they point to Jelani not saying anything critical of Israel or American presence or interference in the country, or they point to his comments and the fact that he's critical of Hezbollah and Iran and Russia leaving the country and he wants to rebuild the country, but he's never saying anything about Israel. American people point to that to say that he's pro-American. So they just replace one ruler who's pro-Russian with another ruler who's pro-American and Israel. Is there any evidence of that he's pro-American and Israel as far as you know?
So necessarily, I mean, if he doesn't say anything against America, doesn't necessarily mean he's pro. However, yeah, there are question marks over this guy. You know, I don't know if you know the history, all the ISIS guys, all the leadership, were all in Camp Bakr, just outside Baghdad, 2007, 2008. All these guys got released and they went on to establish ISIS and do what they did. Jelani was in Camp Bakr with these guys, he was ISIS. There's always going to be a question mark over these guys. If you speak to people from Syria, they will believe the CIS. But the situation in Syria at the moment is you just got rid of a brutal leader after 50 years. So a lot of stuff in the air. And also, let's see, they're in the transition period at the moment. He may not remain a leader. Factions might emerge. But the Arab Spring, yeah, the outcome after remove the ruler has generally not turned out positive. Look at Egypt. Look at Tunisia. It's ridiculous now. This was the birth of the Arab Spring. They've had like multiple leaders. The Islamic group basically that got elected because it's Islamic did a U-turn on Islam in the end. Literally, they're saying we can't implement Islam, and then now they're not an Islamic group now anymore. Actually, they say we're a nationalistic group. The Muslim Brotherhood came in and they came on an Islamic ticket, and then they started saying we got away, we got C, we got this, and they got thrown out anyway. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, there's question marks of these guys. This isn't like me just saying, but even people in that, but he's changed stripes a few times, Jelani. Yeah, this ain't like the first. This ain't the like latest. This ain't the first time he's done it a few times. Yeah. So because Iran and Syria, they gave this narrative that we are anti-imperial. So Russia's intervention was to stop the West. But remember, the West backed the rebel groups. So they said that's an American front fighting against Assad. So these guys came to defend al-Assad. So really, they're saying this is a battle between the West and the East. Yeah. But as I mentioned, look, it wasn't in America's interest the rebels win. That's the last thing they want. Right? So we'll have to see how this goes. And it's not as simple as it's Russia on one side and it's America on the other side. Because remember, yeah, Russia's not a big fan of Muslims in the first place as well, as they've shown time and time again. So it's not, it's one or the other. But I know a lot of people have bought into this now. It's like Bashar being anti-imperial. The guy's a dictator. Now, where is he anti-imperial? In fact, the country had the most cordial relations with Israel. But what they do, they create this image, I'm anti-Israel, I'm standing for the Palestinians. That's why we measure them on their actions on this. So let's wait and see how it goes. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be difficult for Jelani to carry on the path he's going. The people are going to see through it. 13 years they spent doing this. The last thing they're going to do is 13 years go down in vain now because of that. So, and that's why it's important. What needs to happen is what America wants, what the West wants, isn't possible, not because there's a faction, it's because the Syrian people are standing against it. Right? That's what's going to actually make it difficult. But I think there's probably a few more ups and downs to come yet. It's just been a week, really. And unfortunately, look at the other Arab Springs, what happened. Like a lot happened in just a few years, yeah. So let's wait and see how it goes. But again, we measure him on his action. So I was watching a podcast a few days ago from Bilal Abdul Karim, who's on the ground there. And he's like, basically, we work with you. But if you do things that we disagree with, then we're going to call you out on it. And that's a good way to proceed. But remember, there's question marks in the background and stuff like that.
Which regime is likely
To fall next? Oh, wow. It's a good question. Which regime is likely to next fall, yeah? So it's funny actually, there's people who earn a lot of money studying, researching, and coming up with this, yeah? So you would think, the countries where there's discontent, where there's a big gap between the leader and the people. So you've got Egypt. I think for the moment, I can't see it in Saudi at the moment. Lebanon's already collapsed. Iran, there's discontent, but I don't see the regime falling anytime soon. And these are just the obvious examples. There's loads of other countries. Look, in Syria, start of this year, nobody would have said the regime's going to fall. Yeah, go back 13 years, the start of 2011 or the end of 2010, nobody thought there's going to be this Arab uprising and these regimes are going to topple. These regimes were like embedded, they were brutal. The thing is, these things can come out of nowhere. The best measurement you can use really is what's the relationship like between the people and the rulers. Is it close, is it not close? If it's not close, then there's potential here. The only thing you've got at the moment here is, for the last 2 decades, America went to war in the region, got bogged down. That causes its own issues. Now America's attention is all turning to the Far East. In fact, some of the stuff you got going on in the Middle East, if you look at it now, they've got rid of all the groups that were doing the physical fighting for Palestine. Hezbollah, Hamas, and whoever supported them. So even the supply line for Hezbollah, remember, it went from Iran through Iraq, through Syria into Lebanon. That's gone now. So all the groups that were on face value supporting Palestine, fight against Israel, they're gone. So what you've got here is then any group that could be a problem. Because remember, America's priority is now in the Far East. So what you need is a setup here where nothing can happen, right? That's why the worst thing for America now is another uprising. You need to be focusing on China. You need to be focusing over there. So there is every chance of there being another uprising because the conditions are there. Economic issues, the relationship between the people and the rule, definitely going to happen. So it's hard to say which country. I mean, I spoke to an Egyptian a couple of weeks ago and he goes, we are literally just waiting for other people to come on the streets so we can join them. We hate the regime messed up the country, we hate Sisi, things are worse today, why didn't an uprising started? And they're just waiting for people to come out on the street. So when it does happen, everyone will say, yeah, it was inevitable, isn't it? Look at the economy. I mean, this is a country, they've gone to the IMF. And the IMF has put conditions which has made the country economic situation even worse. And for some reason, the ruler just doesn't learn. He just thinks, I'm going to use an iron grip and that's going to help me survive. Not realizing in the long run, you're sowing the seeds of your own decline. So we'll have to wait and see, but definitely where there's discontent, where people are not happy, where there's a big gap between the ruler and the ruled, that's probably a good measurement.
Inshallah, time's up, so I'll have to end the circle here.